All right, looks like our attendance has leveled off for today's webinar. So thank you all so much for joining today. My name is Andrew Albers. I'm an account executive here, and I'm very excited to talk to you today about our webinar. So our title today is The Department with All the Resources, How the Modern HR Department Uses ECM for Onboarding, Reviews, Warnings, and more. So a couple little housekeeping items before we get going. Everybody is on mute, so please put your questions into the question box, and I will be making sure at the end of the webinar to address any pending questions you may have. Additionally, slides and screenshots will be available upon a request. And also, we are recording this session, so no need to take any feverish notes. There will be a video of this webinar that will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and you can then review that at your leisure anytime or share with your other coworkers who may not have been able to attend today. So today's agenda, we're talking about human resources and specifically automation within human resources. As we all understand, human resources is a very important department in any organization. And often they are very paper and process heavy. They have a lot of processes that they have to deal with, a lot of paper that needs to be submitted, approved, reviewed, so on and so forth. So let's look at today how we can leverage Laserfiche to minimize the use of paper in human resources and streamline, automate, and enhance a lot of the various processes happening within HR. Primarily, we're going to focus on the recruitment of new employees, onboarding those employees, then developing and retaining those employees in the organization using Laserfiche. So specifically with recruitment and onboarding, we're going to look at job requisition. We're going to review our applicants that submit applications for our jobs that are available. And we're going to share with you our dashboard built on Laserfiche forms that shows you how to track your applicants. We're also going to use Laserfiche forms for completing the new hire paperwork and the onboarding process. This is also integrated with our DocuSign integration for electronic signatures of any necessary paperwork. And also, we're going to show you how you can leverage Laserfiche for the various internal setup tasks that need to be completed when onboarding a new employee. Perhaps in IT, you need to set up a new desk, a new phone, new computer for that new employee. So this is something that can happen through Laserfiche, specifically Laserfiche forms and workflow. In terms of development and retention, we're going to focus on employee time off requests. So how do we submit these electronically through Laserfiche? And then also in terms of employee warnings and performance reviews, we're going to show you how this can be accomplished using the Laserfiche solution as well. And additionally, we will be showcasing the dashboard that allows you to track the performance reviews, time off requests, and other items. So what's required to make all of this happen with Laserfiche? So you essentially need to have a Laserfiche system with web client. A web client is included with Laserfiche Rio, self-hosted subscription, Laserfiche Cloud, and Avante, unless you're on legacy Avante from years ago, in which case you may not have web client. However, you can obviously add it. Any legacy Laserfiche platform, please contact us and we'll help you get you on the right path on getting the appropriate components. You also need Laserfiche Forms Professional. This again is optional on a Laserfiche. It's an optional add-on on Laserfiche Rio and Avante. It is included with self-hosted Laserfiche subscription and cloud, as long as you're on the professional tier or higher. Again, legacy Laserfiche platforms, please contact us and we can definitely help you with that as well. you also need the Laserfiche Forms portal. The Forms portal allows you to make any links or forms be available via your external facing website. So in our case, for the new hire applications, we will have a portal for them to submit these applications. So this is where the Forms portal comes into play. And this is an optional add-on on Laserfiche, Rio, and Avante. It is included with self-hosted subscription and cloud. If you're on the business tier, it is optional on the professional tier. And finally, again, a legacy Laserfiche platform, please do contact us. We can talk you through the proper licensing that you may need on your specific platform. Fantastic. Let's get right into the demonstration here. So what I'm going to pull up here first is our main Laserfiche dashboard. Now, this is a dashboard built on Laserfiche Forms. This is something, if you already have Laserfiche and you have Laserfiche Forms, this is something you can also leverage internally for your various departments. You can see here at the top, we have various processes, internal processes for our demonstrations. But you may be interested in having your various internal departments have their various processes be presented to them in a simple to access dashboard such as this. So for example, finance may have their contracts process here, easily accessible. Other departments may have their various processes such as accounts payable. Today, we're obviously talking about human resources. So if we pull up our human resources landing page, this can be an internally facing landing page for your various internal human resources employees that can very quickly get into the appropriate tasks and processes that they need to either submit or complete. So in our case here, we're going to start off this process with a job requisition in HR. This will open up Laserfiche Forms. So this is an internal Laserfiche form. This is something where we are requisitioning a specific position that we are looking to fill. So our date has been auto-populated here for us. We can go ahead and select which department we're looking to fill this position in. So we're going to select consulting. And here we can internally select which employee is requesting this. This can be a lookup where it automatically pulls in your information, but however, you can also select additional employees from the list if you would like to do that in this specific case. And here we can start describing some of the details about the position we're looking to fill. So we can have a drop-down calendar here with the specific start date to be selected. We'll just do November 1st here. Now, we can post this opportunity to various locations, obviously to our company site. That's an obvious one, but we can also, through integrations with other job board platforms, we can send that job requisition to them as well. So this is a potential integration you may want to leverage with some of these other job boards. This is something that can be set up. All right, so let's select our title that we're looking for. We're going to try to hire a project manager here, and we'll submit this. So this is our internal request. This does need to be reviewed internally. So it has been submitted. Now, this is where the HR internal approval step needs to happen. So there's also an email notification that got sent out. So if we go to our email inbox, we can see we have this notification here, and we can be taken directly into our form here. So everything looks good for me. I'm the person approving this requisition. I can go ahead and apply my signature to this in this case. We can go ahead and just type in our signature here. If we are on a mobile device, because Laserfiche Forms can be used on a mobile device. So for example, an iPhone or an Android device, you can obviously sign your name just with your finger or stylus and hit sign here. And we can go ahead and approve this request. We're going to be nice. We're going to approve it. All right, click approve. Great. So our job requisition has been posted. Alrighty. So let's pretend now we are that new applicant browsing our website and we want to apply for that specific job. So let's open up our job application form here. So this would be a publicly accessible form. Obviously, we have applicants looking to fill these forms out. So our applicant will access our publicly accessible form. And they can go ahead and start filling out this form. So they can select which job they are applying for. So we'll just select that project manager job we just did the requisition for. And they can put in their information here. So we'll just go with first name. Let's make this fun. Morgan Freeman. He wants to work at CDI. I don't know his real email address, so we'll just assume it's something along these lines. All right, so here we can also put in additional information about ourselves. These forms can be fully customized. Obviously, in your internal HR process, you may want to collect more information. This is something we're just doing here to make it simple for demonstrations. So we'll just say we have a master's degree. We went to UCLA. Our salary requirements is, let's just say $90,000. Are we authorized to work in the US? Yes. What types of challenges are you looking for in your next job? Let's just say looking to work hard. Great. Our additional page here on this form is an attachment functionality for our resume and cover letter. So we can go ahead and add those here. So we'll just upload our resume here. Ready? So you'll notice here on my desktop, I have very randomly named document called resume 92622. But you'll notice what's going to happen behind the scenes with Laserfiche. Laserfiche, once this information gets submitted into the Laserfiche repository, all of our documents are going to get renamed appropriately based on our naming conventions. Also, the appropriate folders for this applicant are going to get created dynamically in our Laserfiche repository. And all of the appropriate metadata is going to be assigned to all documents and folders that we're creating in Laserfiche by the workflow engine. So let's attach our resume here. That's been uploaded. Everything looks good here, and we can go ahead and hit submit. Great. So now Mr. Freeman has applied for our job. There is a quick little sort of a receipt that the applicant gets. They can go ahead and download their application, print it, or email it if they want to go ahead and do that. Now let's switch back to being that internal HR person, and we want to go ahead and review our job applications. We actually do want to fill this requisition, so we need to review our applicants. So let's go ahead and do that now. So here you'll notice if we select our consulting department, and specifically our latest requisition for that project manager position, we will see that we have one applicant. So here is another little dashboard that shows you all of your applicants. In our case, we just have one, but we could have multiple applicants here. And we have a quick view into their education, their school, their salary requirements, so we can review everything here in terms of our applicants. So let's just make this super easy, and let's just say we're going to hire Mr. Morgan Freeman. So we want to go ahead and create an offer letter for him. So we'll do that here, create offer, and submit. So in Laserfiche, if we now switch into the Laserfiche repository, I will go into the appropriate folder in Laserfiche. So we have our human resources folder here. We have our job requisitions. In process, under consulting, remember we're hiring a consultant, and it is the one here from today, 9/27. So you see the system is dynamically creating these folders in Laserfiche for us. Additionally, it is creating our subfolders based on the actual applicant's information. So folders are created dynamically. And if we go into Morgan's folder here, we will see that we have their documentation that's been submitted thus far. Now, as I mentioned, that resume, that random resume name is no longer random. It is renamed per our Laserfiche naming conventions correctly. So if we open that resume up, it is in our Laserfiche repository for view. So there is that resume. What you'll also notice that in our right pane, our metadata pane in Laserfiche, this has all been dynamically populated for us. So again, we're saving time, we're saving effort because we don't have to go and index everything ourselves. The system is doing this dynamically for us. Great. So let's look at that offer letter we just created by Laserfiche workflow. All right, there it is. There is our offer letter here. So what the system is doing here, it's generating a Word document with our offer letter verbiage. Now, this offer letter can then be sent through another Laserfiche workflow with DocuSign process attached to it as well. So here is our offer letter. So let's move forward in this process here. Let's go back to our dashboard. We now have that offer letter, and we're assuming that the offer letter has been returned back to us. So let's again go to our job applicant reviews here. And let's say we're going to hire now Mr. Freeman. So here we will toggle. We are hiring him. So he's hired. Fantastic. Update our form here. Now the system is going to do some cool things behind the scenes. It's going to generate a couple different documents and send those out electronically via DocuSign for signatures. So let's take a look at that. All right, we'll switch to our email client here, and you'll see that the document has been sent via DocuSign. So Mr. Freeman has received this document here that he needs to complete. So this is actually a non-disclosure agreement. And it also does include the employee confidentiality agreement. And we also have the W form attached with this as well that can be completed electronically. So let's go ahead and sign this document here. This is the confidentiality agreement. We can sign this simply through DocuSign. So apply our electronic signature to this. And this is the W4. This is not locked out. We can pull in fields here to pre-fill it for Morgan. In this case, we're not doing it here, but this is not locked down, so they can go ahead and fill this in themselves. Fill in their W4 information here, and then they can go ahead and sign this electronically. Once that's completed, we can simply click Finish. And this will now go back into our Laserfiche repository as a signed document, so we'll have a record of it. It will get named and filed correctly into our Laserfiche repository for us. The other email that was sent out was for those internal tasks in terms of what we need to do for a new hire. So we have a notification that was sent to us. We can go ahead and review that from our email, just access that form directly here. So again, we can be remote, we can be out of the office, and we can still be part of Laserfiche processes. Additionally here, what you'll notice in the right pane is our action history. So we have tracking now, we have metrics, we can see how long forms and processes are taking to get approved internally, so we can identify bottlenecks, we can run reports on these action history tasks, and improve our processes even further. by having those metrics. So here simply we're just acknowledging that IT, because in this case we're pretending we're IT. So yes, we've set up their AD account, Outlook, CRM access, computer and key card access. So this is now setup complete essentially. So we can go ahead and hit setup complete. And again, we'll get a record of this form being completed into our Laserfiche repository. So if we go back into our email client here, you'll notice that the Laserfiche workflow does also send an additional email with the completed documentation. So there is the non-compete agreement that's been signed, and then the W-4. So we have a copy of that being sent out to Mr. Freeman, or internally also if we need to do that as well. So that's just another step for a process that you may want to have, send out that additional confirmation to that outside employee. All right, let's look back into our Laserfiche repository and see how our structure has changed in our Laserfiche repository. So if I now go into human resources and I'll refresh my folder, now my Morgan Freeman file is going to be under employee files because he has now been hired. So if we go under consulting, you'll notice that the folder has been moved into our employee files. Additionally, all of the documentation that was submitted is here properly named, properly indexed in our Laserfiche repository. So this is the real beauty of the system like this, is obviously you're not shuffling paper, you don't have to rescan anything, you don't have to rename anything, you don't have to index anything manually. Everything's done automatically for us. So we're obviously not having to generate paper, but more importantly, we're actually improving the process that goes along with this specific employee as far as their hiring. And now let's move into some of those tasks for development and retention. So we're going to be showing you time off requests. We're going to be showing you employee warnings as well. So let's get into that now. We'll go back to our dashboard. Close some of these windows really quickly here. So here is now our dashboard for viewing our employees. So this shows a top-down view into our various employees in our organization. So we have here, we can see we have our new employee, Mr. Morgan Freeman here. And what these last columns are here, so essentially the last column is their part-time off available, so they get 200 hours. And you'll notice that once we fill out our part-time request off, we're going to deduct from these hours, and we're going to be able to track these hours on this dashboard. Additionally, for our employee reviews, you can see that we're dynamically putting that next employee review out for a year. We want to review all of our employees every year, so we're tracking that date. Workflow can send a notification to our internal manager before this date to go ahead and schedule that employee review. So this is our dashboard for tracking our employees. Now let's go ahead and submit the request for part-time off. And let me just go back into my forms landing page here. And here we go. Right, back to human resources here. All right, so now for time off requests, again, this can be an internally accessible link on the portal, and the employee can simply click that link and submit their request. So put in our name. We will just go with Mr. Morgan Freeman. And let's say we want to take 2 days off in October. So October 10th through October 12th. So that's 16 hours. There we go, 16 hours deducted, and we'll submit this. Now the Laserfiche workflow is going to send our manager a notification that this request has been submitted. So our manager will get an email notification. And as you can see, there is that notification for this time off request. So our manager can open up this form. Again, they can be mobile on a mobile device if they're not in an office, and do all of this electronically. You also still have those metrics in our right pane. And our manager can go ahead and approve this request here. So there's a little spot for comments. And we can go ahead and approve this. Great. So now this has been approved. So if we go back into our employee dashboard, and we'll refresh our dashboard here. And you'll notice under Morgan Freeman, our 16 hours have been deducted from his PTO available. So again, here's our tracking dashboard, essentially, where we can view these items. You can obviously put additional items here you want to track for your employees. This is, again, just something we've built out for a quick demo. But there's a ton of flexibility built into Laserfiche forms as far as what can be displayed in a dashboard type interface. Great, so we've done our part-time off request. Now let's do another internal process, and this is an employee warning. So Mr. Morgan has not been performing well, so let's go ahead and submit an employee warning. Again, opening up a Laserfiche form. Let's put in our date as of today. We can select our manager from our drop-down list. So all of our managers can be pre-populated. And let's select our employee and say, we'll just say this is a verbal warning. Job performance. We'll just say he's been sleeping on the job. Now here we can attach additional documentation. You know, if we had a picture of him actually sleeping on the job, we can go ahead and apply that here, add that here, and have that submitted in within this form. So great, that's been submitted. We go. Now, if we go into our Laserfiche folder for Morgan, you can go ahead and refresh here. You'll notice a new folder, new subfolder has been created for disciplinary item files. So here is where our warnings are going. So we can now easily track our employee warnings because they are dynamically put into our employees folder. Great. The other folder that was added here was for time off requests. So the same idea here. We're tracking their time off requests here, dynamically imported into Laserfiche, filed away correctly, indexed and named per our naming conventions here. Great, so let's now do that annual performance review. So now we're doing employee review. So this is, again, another link on your internal HR portal. So this is something that we actually use internally at CDI, but we also like to demo it and show clients what's possible with Laserfiche. So obviously, employee reviews are happening in essentially any organization. So this is something we can leverage Laserfiche because obviously Laserfiche is great with collecting information and putting it in an electronic form. So this is a perfect use case of Laserfiche form for doing employee reviews. So we can go ahead and select our employee here. Find Mr. Morgan. I'll have to select my department first. Refresh here. Ah, there he is, at the bottom, missed him. So what happened here is you'll notice that dynamically the system did a lookup and found our warning that we've given to Mr. Morgan. So this is something we want to call out when we're doing that annual employee review, but we've been able to dynamically do a lookup into Laserfiche and pre-populate this information for us into this employee review form. So that's pretty cool. Now we can go through the rest of this employee review process, just clicking next here. And here is where we have various grading definitions, and we can go ahead and fill this out. We have like a little grading definitions section where it tells you exactly what the grades are for the various duties or performances and within their job. So we're not going to fill all of this out, but we'll just basically assign the grade. We'll just say, we'll give them a 3 here. For his performance goals, we can fill those in here. So say, for example, quota of 500 implementations per year in consulting, and he has not quite met that. So again, we'll give him a 3 here. If we want to add any manager notes, we have little places for that to do that here. And then we'll click next, and we have additional review questions in terms of their performance over that last year. So these are obviously customizable, and you can again assign a grade, and then you have the grade definitions right above it to refer to that as well. So we'll just give them 3s across the board here. And if we want to add any notes here, we can go ahead and do that. In our case, these notes are required. Anything with a red asterisk is a required field, so we have to put something here. I'll just, for the sake of time, won't fill this out. And then we can go into our feedback and growth section. So obviously, this is something we're filling out with the employee, so we can go ahead and have questions and provide some employee feedback. Obviously, our employee is going to want to add feedback to their growth plan. You can go ahead and input that here. For the sake of time, I'll just add some random information here. And our growth plan, say for, let's see, 2023. Oops, select the date. Don't forget to do that. For our next review, we'll have 480 implementations. All right, great. Go next here. And this is just a summary page for our employee review. So you'll notice the system is doing some math for us. It's basically computing averages that we've given to our employee. So those are displayed here. Additional feedback as far as any recommended changes that can be filled out here. And if we want to give him a raise, him or her a raise, we can go ahead and select that here. Not giving a raise this time. So everything looks good. Again, this form is just our example. Yours is probably completely different, but it can be customized and presented in a way that makes more sense to your specific process. So once that's submitted, or once that's completed, we can go ahead and submit. And a couple people are going to get notified in our process of this employee review. So we'll go back into our email client and look out for those email notifications. Here they are. So there is one email notification. We'll open this up. And in our case, this email was sent to the president because, we're a smaller company. So the president wants to review all employee annual reviews. So our president will get notified. They can go ahead and review this form that's been submitted and go ahead and give their approval here. Great. So president has approved this. Let's see if there's another email notification here for us. This is the second email notification for this employee review. Again, one thing to point out here, this is really cool, and I keep going back to this because this is important. In our right pane is the action history. You can see what user at what time is looking and reviewing or approving or denying forms. You have that full action history. So if you're a supervisor, you can really get a top-down view into your various forms and processes running in Laserfiche and know exactly what's happening in the system. And you can hold people more accountable if someone's perhaps not completing action items in time. All right, so this is just a manager approval for this employee review. So we'll go ahead and approve that as well. And we'll go back into our Laserfiche repository just to show you that updated folder structure. So again, what's important to point out with Laserfiche and how this all works together is we're really minimizing paper. Obviously, everything's electronic. Everything is named appropriately when it goes back into Laserfiche. Anybody that needs to look at an employee's file folder can access it and look in there and see exactly what's happening. So our new item here that was added was the performance reviews. And here is that performance review. What the system actually did in this case, as an additional step, we've compiled a Microsoft Word document with the data that was captured in that employee review form. So we now have it in an easy to read document that we can present to anybody that wants to look at it. So this is another feature of Laserfiche, is merging data into a Word or PDF documents from that data being captured in Laserfiche forms for us. Great, so we have that in our employee folder. The additional item to point out in our folders in Laserfiche for our particular employees is the records retention properties. So if we go under consulting, under Morgan, let's look at that main folder and let's look at the records properties. So if we go into Laserfiche under records, in the right pane in our metadata, you'll notice that we've applied the life cycle or the retention properties, a retention schedule, to this records. Additionally, we're also applied the cutoff instructions. So what cutoff instructions are is essentially telling us when this record is cut off, it goes into read-only status. So when the employee is terminated, this record will be cut off, will go into read-only status, and then the retention starts. So 7 years from that cutoff date is when we can destroy this record. So the system will notify us in 7 years when we can go ahead and purge this employee record. So again, another benefit of Laserfiche is obviously these records retention properties and the notifications that come with applying records retention properties in Laserfiche. So that's a great feature. Another great feature in Laserfiche is obviously security. This is a sensitive human resources folder here. So if we go into our main HR folder, we can go ahead and show the security here in Laserfiche. And obviously we can assign what users or what groups of users can access this folder and really just limit it to the appropriate staff that has the rights to access any type of HR information. So our users are added here. Obviously I'm a super admin, so I can do whatever I want in my system. I can add any other users to view or access this folder here. And then also I can give those users very specific and very granular rights as far as what they can do in this human resources folder. So I can implicitly state which users can browse documents, read documents, see annotations, adding new documents. So there is very granular security in Laserfiche, and this is extremely important when we're dealing with HR records in the system. So this is an overview of Laserfiche security specific to HR. And I think we have covered pretty much everything I wanted to get to today. So if you have any questions, please put them in the question box or feel free to follow up with me at a later time. And I'll just have a couple more slides here to close this out. So a couple of resources pages for you all. Here's our CDI website, and then our YouTube channel. This is really one of our best resources for you all. There's a ton of Laserfiche content, including all of our webinars get posted there, but a lot of other exciting videos with Laserfiche and featuring some of our integrations as well. So really great resource. Please do take advantage of that. And my contact information. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to help you talk through some of these processes. Not only HR, Laserfiche can obviously be leveraged in any department within an organization, but I hope you got some really good ideas today of how to leverage it in HR. So thank you all for your time today, and I'll stick around for a couple minutes to see if there are any questions.